There are moments in life when you're tested, not by grand challenges, but by the small, sharp interactions that catch you off guard. Someone disrespects you. Someone provokes you. Someone tries to embarrass you, control you, or pull you into emotional chaos. These moments reveal who you truly are. Most people react instantly, losing their power in seconds. But a Stoic responds with intention, calm, precision, strength wrapped in silence. The 5 smart responses you're about to hear are more than words, they are psychological tools that will shift the balance of every difficult conversation in your life. They will silence disrespect, neutralize manipulation, and elevate your presence so deeply that people will think twice before coming at you recklessly again. And here's the truth: you don't have to shout to dominate a room. You don't have to argue to win. You don't have to explain yourself to be understood. If you listen until the end, these 5 responses will become part of you. They will sharpen your emotional intelligence, strengthen your identity, and make you someone who moves through conflict untouched, unshaken, unbothered. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss powerful Stoic wisdom that transforms your mind and strengthens your character. Now breathe and sit up, listen closely. Your new level of self-mastery begins now. Response 1, the calm dissolver. The calm dissolver is one of the most profound tools of emotional mastery because it teaches you the art of refusing to fuel another person's fire. Most confrontations are born from expectation, the expectation that you will react. People want your energy, they want your attention, they want the satisfaction of pulling you into chaos. But when you respond with a steady, grounded acknowledgement like, "I hear you," you break the entire psychological pattern. You remove the momentum they were counting on. You disarm the emotional weapon they expected to use against you. Stoicism teaches that the real conflict is never between two people, it is between emotion and reason, impulse and discipline, ego and clarity. By dissolving the moment with calm acknowledgement, you demonstrate that you are driven by reason, not reactivity. You show that your peace is not negotiable. And as soon as the aggressor realizes that you cannot be emotionally manipulated, their force collapses. Their voice lowers, their ego shrinks, their power evaporates. You've silenced them without raising your voice once. The calm dissolver works because it shifts the dynamic of control. You are no longer a participant in the argument, you become the observer. You're not fighting their storm, you're stepping outside of it, and this shift has a deeply unsettling effect on people who thrive on emotional reactions. When you remain calm, they begin to feel exposed. Their anger suddenly feels loud, unnecessary, and out of place. Their hostility reflects back onto them. This creates psychological discomfort, which naturally slows the conflict. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius wrote that, "Your mind takes the shape of what you hold in it." By remaining grounded, you force the other person's mind to confront itself. They begin to realize that their outburst doesn't match your energy, and people always adjust to the energy that is strongest in the room. When your calm is stronger than their chaos, you win without fighting. This response trains you to remain rooted in yourself, no matter how emotional the environment becomes. Over time, the calm dissolver changes how people interact with you entirely. They start respecting you not because you demand it, but because your presence makes disrespect feel foolish. You become the type of person whose reactions are measured, intentional, and controlled. The kind of person who doesn't give away emotional access cheaply. And the truth is, once people realize they cannot provoke you, they stop trying. You become internally untouchable. This response also frees you from emotional exhaustion. Instead of explaining yourself endlessly or defending yourself against baseless attacks, you conserve your energy. You remain centered. You choose peace over ego. You choose control over chaos. And people feel that strength. Your calm becomes a boundary. Your presence becomes a mirror. Your silence becomes instruction. Through practice, the calm dissolver becomes your default state, a way of living that keeps your mind clear and your dignity intact. Eventually, you learn that the calm dissolver is not just a response. It is an identity. It's the identity of someone who has stepped beyond emotional vulnerability and learned to govern their inner world with discipline. Someone who is no longer controlled by the moods, comments, or reactions of others. Someone who understands that peace is not something you find, it's something you protect. The moment you speak calmly in a heated situation, you reclaim your power. You show that you're not threatened by noise. You're not disturbed by opinions. You're not swayed by aggression. You are anchored within yourself. And once you reach this level of emotional maturity, something beautiful happens. Confrontations that once bothered you no longer have the ability to touch your spirit. People who once triggered you lose their power entirely. You begin moving through the world like a grounded, centered force, someone who walks with an inner silence so strong that chaos cannot reach you. This is the essence of the calm dissolver. This is Stoicism in action. Response 2, the boundary line. The boundary line is not anger, not rebellion, not confrontation. It is clarity. It is the moment you decide that your peace is worth more than someone's approval, their loud voice, or their careless words. Most people struggle with boundaries because they fear being seen as rude or difficult. But the truth is simple. Without boundaries, you will attract people who benefit from your lack of them. When someone speaks to you harshly, interrupts you disrespectfully, or forces their intensity onto you, the Stoic response is steady and controlled. You say, "I'm not continuing this conversation in that tone." No rage, no trembling voice, no defending yourself, just a clear standard, and the moment you say it, the entire dynamic shifts. They realize you cannot be accessed through disrespect. They realize they cannot manipulate your emotions. They realize your spirit is not open to chaos. This is the essence of a boundary, a calm refusal to participate in anything that lowers your dignity or drains your energy. What makes this response so powerful is that it places responsibility back where it belongs. You are not attacking them, you are showing them what behavior is unacceptable if they wish to continue interacting with you. Most people are accustomed to others yelling back, breaking down, or explaining themselves endlessly. But when you stay centered and calmly establish a limit, you demonstrate emotional authority. People who thrive on control hate this, because your clarity exposes their imbalance. They cannot escalate the situation because you won't engage. They cannot dominate the conversation because you've removed the environment for domination. They cannot pull you into emotional messiness because you're standing outside of it. This boundary is not about pushing people away, it's about protecting your inner space. It teaches you that preserving your peace is more important than pleasing anyone. And once your energy begins to reflect that truth, your life becomes lighter. Over time, the boundary line becomes part of how you move through the world. People begin to sense it before you speak. They feel it in how you carry yourself, the tone of your voice, the way you pause before responding, the calmness in your presence. Your boundaries speak louder than your words. They tell people, this is a person who respects themselves. This is a person who cannot be intimidated. This is a person who doesn't tolerate emotional chaos. The funny thing is, once you set boundaries consistently, you barely need to use them anymore. Disrespect fades, drama avoids you, toxic personalities lose interest. You become someone who attracts higher quality conversations, healthier relationships, and more respectful interactions. This is not magic, this is the natural result of valuing yourself enough to refuse anything beneath your level of peace. Eventually, the boundary line evolves into something even deeper, a standard for the life you allow yourself to live. You stop tolerating conversations that drain you, environments that exhaust you, or people who diminish you. You learn that protecting your inner world is not selfish, it is necessary. And because you've built this habit, you walk with an aura of self-respect that silences disrespect before it even starts. People feel your strength, they feel your restraint, they feel the quiet confidence of someone who refuses to be spoken to carelessly. And that presence alone becomes a boundary. With time, you realize something profound. You don't need to raise your voice to create distance. You don't need to argue to defend your worth. You don't need to force people to respect you. Your boundaries teach them, your calmness teaches them, your refusal to participate in disrespect teaches them. This is the beauty of Stoicism. Silence becomes protection, clarity becomes power, and boundaries become the language of self-respect. Response 3. The mirror. The mirror response is one of the most disarming techniques in human communication because it forces self-reflection in the very moment someone is trying to attack you. When someone insults you, criticizes you unfairly, or throws negativity your way, they are expecting a defensive reaction. They want your frustration. They want your anger. They want you to explain yourself so they can feel superior. But when you calmly look at them and say, "Why do you feel that way?" everything inside them stumbles. This question breaks their momentum. It exposes their emotional intention. It removes their ability to hide behind aggression. What they thought was an attack suddenly becomes a confession. They become aware that the spotlight is no longer on you, it is shining directly on their own insecurities, frustrations, and motives. And most people are not emotionally prepared for that. The mirror response is not confrontation, it is revelation. It shows you who the other person truly is, not the version they pretend to be. The brilliance of the mirror response is that it changes the power dynamic instantly. They came to judge you, but now they must examine themselves. They came to criticize you, but now they must evaluate their own thinking. They came to provoke you, but now they must reveal the reason behind their provocation. Humans often lash out because of internal conflict, stress, envy, insecurity, past disappointment, ego, but until you hold a mirror up to them, they project these emotions outward. When you ask, "Why do you feel that way?" you interrupt that projection. Suddenly, they cannot continue the attack without justifying it, and justification requires vulnerability, logic, and honesty, three things hostility cannot survive. Their emotional aggression collapses because you've shifted the conversation from reaction to reflection. This is what Stoicism teaches, that clarity dissolves confusion, reason dissolves chaos, and understanding dissolves hostility. The mirror response embodies all three principles in a single calm sentence. Over time, using the mirror response builds a deep understanding of human behavior. You begin to see patterns. The loudest accusers are often the most insecure, the most critical people are usually the least fulfilled, and those who try to bring you down are often trying to escape themselves. This response allows you to listen without absorbing negativity. You stop taking things personally because the mirror shows you that most attacks are not about you, they're reflections of the other person's inner battles. This understanding gives you emotional freedom. You stop arguing with pain. You stop wrestling with wounded egos. You stop wasting energy trying to convince people who aren't looking for truth, they're looking for control. With the mirror response, you reclaim your mental space. You hold your dignity. You maintain your emotional center. And the best part, you let them unravel themselves with their own words. There is no louder silence than a person realizing their hostility has revealed more about their heart than yours. Eventually, the mirror response becomes a form of emotional protection and psychological mastery. People start approaching you differently because they know you will not react impulsively. They know you won't argue needlessly. They know you won't allow their chaotic energy to infect your peace. Instead, they sense that any negative intention they bring will be reflected right back at them. This shifts your presence. You become someone who commands respect effortlessly. Someone who makes others think before they speak. Someone whose calmness forces people to measure their tone. The mirror turns you into a silent teacher, showing others their own behavior without shaming them, without attacking them, without raising your voice. And soon, the world around you adjusts. Hostile people avoid you. Manipulative people lose interest. Emotionally healthy people draw closer. Not because you've changed the world, but because you've changed who you let enter your world. This is the power of the mirror. This is how a Stoic moves. Not by fighting every battle, but by revealing truths so powerfully that battles dissolve on their own. Response 4. The silent power move. Silence is the most underestimated form of strength. Most people believe power is loud, raised voices, sharp comebacks, instant reactions. But true power has always been quiet, measured, controlled. When someone tries to provoke you, embarrass you, or drag you into emotional chaos, silence becomes your shield. Not the silence of fear or confusion, but the silence of mastery. The silence that says, "I do not respond to everything." It unsettles people because they suddenly realize you are not participating in their emotional game. You are not rising to their bait. You are not giving them the reaction they wanted to control you with. Stoicism teaches that the mind must remain sovereign, untouchable by the storms around it. When you choose silence, you assert that sovereignty. You deny them access to your emotions. You deny them the satisfaction of victory. And in that moment, they feel their own chaotic energy echoing back at them without a place to land. Silence is not emptiness, it is presence. A presence so steady that it silences others without a single word. The silent power move works because it exposes imbalance. When someone is shouting, insulting, or spiraling emotionally, your silence forces them to confront the absurdity of their behavior. Suddenly, they look intense while you look composed. They look chaotic while you look grounded. They look unstable while you look sovereign. This contrast creates psychological pressure. They begin to feel embarrassed by their own intensity because you have refused to match it. People expect you to mirror their energy. They want you to react at their level. But when you refuse, they lose control of the narrative. Silence shines a light on their emotional immaturity. The Stoics believed that anger is a temporary loss of wisdom. Your silence exposes that loss without ever calling it out. You are communicating one powerful truth: I will not step down to your level to prove my strength. Your silence becomes a declaration of standards that most hostile people are unable to rise to over time. Silence becomes more than a reaction, it becomes a way of navigating life. You begin to realize that not every opinion deserves a response, not every insult deserves acknowledgement, and not every argument deserves your voice. You start choosing your words with intention, saving your energy for conversations that build rather than destroy. And something fascinating happens: your silence becomes intimidating. People sense that you do not speak from emotion, but from clarity. They feel that your quietness is not weakness, it is calculation, discernment, discipline. You become the person who doesn't rush to speak, who doesn't waste words, who doesn't spill emotions everywhere. Your silence becomes a filter that separates the worthy from the unworthy. The people who value you will respect it, the people who fear it will avoid it, and this is exactly what a Stoic life requires: less noise, more awareness, fewer reactions, deeper understanding. Silence becomes your superpower. Eventually, the silent power move transforms the way you are perceived. You become a person of presence, someone whose stillness carries more weight than most people's shouting. You walk into rooms differently. People notice your calm. They notice that you don't respond impulsively. They notice that you don't give your emotional energy away cheaply. And because of that, they begin to respect you instinctively. They lower their tone around you. They choose their words more carefully. They think before they speak. Why? Because silence forces reflection. Silence demands maturity. Silence creates gravity. And once you embody that gravity, you no longer need to defend yourself. People's hostility collapses in your presence. Their disrespect dissolves. Their attempts to provoke you fail before they begin. You've risen above the level where noise exists. Silence is no longer the absence of sound, it is the presence of your power. This is what it means to move through life as a Stoic, the strongest force in the room without uttering a single unnecessary word. Response 5, the Ender. The Ender is the final statement of strength, the moment you choose your peace over the argument, your dignity over your ego, and your calm over someone else's chaos. When a conversation becomes pointless, manipulative, or emotionally draining, the Stoic mind does not fight for the last word. It simply says, "We're done here." These 3 words carry a weight that no anger could ever match. They end the cycle instantly. They shut the door with quiet certainty. They communicate that your time and energy are not open to emotional negotiations. People who try to provoke or control you hate this, because their power relies on your participation. But when you walk away with self-respect instead of a raised voice, you show them something far more threatening, that they have no influence over your emotional state. You preserve your peace by refusing to feed chaos, and that refusal is what makes the Ender such a devastatingly powerful move. The reason the Ender works so effectively is because it eliminates the battleground entirely. Most people continue arguing because they want attention, dominance, or validation. They need you to react so they can feel a sense of victory. But when you calmly declare, "We're done here," you remove the one thing they need to continue, the environment. You take away the arena where the conflict could grow. And once the arena disappears, their power fades with it. Stoicism teaches that the greatest victory is not defeating the other person, it is defeating the impulse within yourself that wants to keep fighting. The ender is not withdrawal. It is strategy. It is the decision to protect your emotional space by not allowing negativity to expand any further. This response teaches others that you refuse to argue for entertainment, validation, or ego. You will not stay in conversations that drain you. You will not permit people to twist your emotions. You will not entertain drama disguised as dialogue. You choose peace, and peace is an unshakable form of power. Over time, the ender becomes a philosophy of life. You stop clinging to things that exhaust you. You stop trying to fix conversations that were never meant to be healed. You stop allowing people with unstable emotions to have repeated access to your mind. You learn that walking away is not weakness, it is wisdom. You begin to recognize situations that no longer deserve discussion, energy, attention, or emotional effort. And the more you practice this, the more you notice your life elevating. Your relationships become healthier, your friendships become deeper, your mind becomes lighter. The unnecessary noise starts disappearing because you no longer entertain it. The ender also trains those around you. People become more careful with how they speak and behave because they know you will end the interaction if it turns disrespectful or toxic. You create an emotional boundary so strong that chaos avoids you completely. You're not running from conflict, you're choosing not to drown in someone else's storm. Eventually, the ender transforms you into someone who moves through the world with profound emotional discipline. You become the person who can walk away from disrespect without second-guessing yourself. The person who can leave manipulative conversations without guilt. The person whose peace is so valuable that you refuse to compromise it for anything or anyone. And people sense this. They treat you with respect because they know access to you is not guaranteed, it must be earned. This final response is not about shutting others down. It is about elevating yourself above conversations that diminish your spirit. And as you rise, your presence strengthens. Your silence deepens. Your confidence becomes quieter but heavier. And your life becomes filled with people and environments that match your inner peace. Before we close, remember this. If you want more powerful Stoic wisdom that strengthens your mind, sharpens your emotional intelligence, and elevates your life, subscribe to the Inner Fortress. Your journey to self-mastery continues there. Your next transformation begins there. Join the community, strengthen your mindset, and become the calm, unshakable force you were meant to be. Finally, in a world where everyone is reacting, you have learned how to respond. You've learned how to stand firm when others shake, how to stay silent when others shout, and how to walk away when others cling to chaos. These 5 smart Stoic responses are not just techniques, they are transformations. They shape the way you carry yourself, the way you protect your peace, and the way you reclaim your power in every interaction. Most people spend their lives trying to control the world around them, but Stoicism teaches you to master the world within you. And once you do that, nothing outside of you can break you. As you move forward, remember this truth. You do not need permission to protect your peace. You do not need approval to choose silence. You do not need validation to set boundaries. You are stronger than your impulses, bigger than your fears, and wiser than your reactions. The person you become after mastering these responses is not just unshakable, you are unforgettable. If you found value in this, and if you want to continue growing your mind, elevating your emotional intelligence, and building unbreakable self-mastery, make sure you subscribe to the Inner Fortress. Join this journey of discipline, clarity, and inner strength. Your transformation has already begun, now continue it with us.